So this is a reading of Chapter 3, Section 2 for 7th grade Social Studies, Section 2 Summary. In this section, you'll learn about the three branches of the federal government and how they check one another's powers to create a more balanced form of government. So today's lesson is a lot about checks and balances, which I hope is something you've heard about before. The cool part about our government, guys, is we have three branches. And there's no way one branch can get more powerful than the other. That was a big worry from our founding fathers. So because of checks and balances, we can't have a president that is all powerful or a Senate that dictates the law of the land. We'll explore more. Terms to remember: separation of powers, the distribution of political power among the branches of government, given each branch a particular set of responsibilities. The legislative branch. This is the lawmaking branch of government. When I say legislative, you can always think LL, legislative laws, and you can also think about the Senate and House of Representatives, which are in this branch. The executive branch, the branch of a government that carries out the laws. That's the president, friends. The judicial branch, the branch of government that interprets the laws and punishes lawbreakers. So, judicial, think a judge is always in charge of a court. So, your judicial branch is your courts, okay? We also have checks and balances, which is a system in which the powers of government are balanced among different branches so each branch can check or limit the power of others. A veto, which is a refusal by a president or governor to sign a bill. Judicial review, which is the power of the Supreme Court to determine if a law passed by Congress or a presidential action agrees with the Constitution. Let's go ahead and take a look at our summary. Section 2, the three branches of government. The framers of the Constitution did not want any part of United States government to be too powerful. To keep this from happening, they applied a structure called separation of powers to the federal level of government. Many states had already included that idea in their constitutions. But with the separation of powers, the three different branches of government work with the law in different ways. The legislative branch has the power to create laws. The executive branch is responsible for carrying these laws out. The judicial branch interprets the meanings of laws and creates punishments for those who break them. The legislative branch of the United States is sometimes called Congress. This branch passes laws and controls money for the federal government. Congress has two parts. They're both called houses. One is the Senate, and the other is the House of Representatives. In early days, Congress developed the Bill of Rights and established Washington, D.C. as our capital. Now, the President of the United States is the head of the executive branch, but he is not the only person. It's not just him chilling in the executive branch. We've got many other people too. Today, this branch also includes the 15 departments that make up the President's cabinet, which we'll talk about in the next reading. Together, these people work to put the laws passed by Congress into action. A department like the Department of Homeland Security might also work with leaders from other countries to help protect our rights and freedoms. And lastly, we've got the judicial branch. The Congress, geez, Mrs. Devlin. The Constitution does not really say much about this branch. Even so, Congress created the Supreme Court to serve as the head of the judicial branch. So the Supreme Court is the top court. So anything they say is law. That is powerful, y'all. These judges or justices who sit on the Supreme Court think about our country's laws and help citizens interpret what they mean. Congress also set up another lower system of courts to help that process. Since 1803, court decisions in a case called Marbury v. Madison, the Supreme Court also talks about whether or not laws go against the Constitution. The framers of the Constitution distributed power equally among these branches, so they're all kind of responsible for different things. They also set limits on what each branch can do on its own. This is called checks and balances. Each branch of government can check the work of the other two branches in at least two ways. There's going to be a chart in your reading today. Take a look at it. It describes it so wonderfully. For example, if the executive branch does not approve of law passed by the legislative branch, the president can veto or reject the proposal. But Congress can overturn the president's veto by voting again and showing that more than 2/3 of both houses of Congress agree. The Supreme Court can determine whether or not these laws uphold the highest law, the Constitution. So, for the last lesson of the week, we're going to talk about how the Constitution has worked so well and why this document has endured the test of time. Coming soon.